Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing well tonight. Just popping on here this evening to share some thoughts. It's February and I'm doing dry February this month, so probably won't be doing any wine posts this month. With my dry February, I'm raising funds for the Canadian Cancer Society. During a pandemic, I'm sure a lot of these charities aren't getting the donations that maybe they normally would. So I'm trying to do my part with that. It's a small part, but it's something I can do. But what I want to come on tonight about is, I'm seeing things slowly opening up, which is great to see. But I wanted to talk about something that is 100% my thoughts and my perceptions and my beliefs. And these are all based on my time in the industry, both as an operator, as a manager, as a leader of a business. And in no way any affiliation with anyone that I've ever worked for. All my own thoughts. And the other thing with these is there are thoughts that I've had. Again, I think it's the second time in a month I've mentioned Mr. Brent Billing, who's an executive recruiter. We seem to be having the same wavelengths. I'll post a video and he's got something on the go very similar, or vice versa, and I get some ideas from him. So it makes me think that if someone like that were on the same wavelength, I feel pretty good about the shape of the industry. But what I really wanted to talk about tonight was the status of F&B in hotels, kind of going forward post COVID. And the reason I say that, I think there's a tremendous opportunity for hotel dining to reestablish itself as a major player in major city markets like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton. I see a big opportunity. I say that sadly at the same time because I think part of that comes at the expense of some of the great small independent restaurants that may not make it because of rent, and maybe other factors as well. But and I mean that, like, it really does tear me up as someone who operated a small business. We need those small restaurants in all cities and rural areas, because it's a bit of a backbone of the economy as a whole. But in the meantime, for the next couple of years, until someone comes along and reinvests in restaurants, or perhaps rent becomes a little more manageable, I see an opportunity. And everyone else says, well, hotel restaurants, so they're so expensive. And they are expensive, and people in the industry will know this. And I just want to again preface this with, I'm not trying to speak down to anyone. I'm not trying to tell people how to do their jobs. Everyone has their own opinions, and I respect them. This just happens to be my opinion and my view, and something that I've always strive for, and will continue to, as an independent entrepreneurial mindset. But the reason that hotel dining is expensive, one of the reasons, anyways, is the labor cost. Hotels pay their teams a very, very fair wage, and that's a great thing. In fact, I wish that everyone did, just by trying to get people living wages is a great thing, with the benefits and the rest of it. Those are fantastic. It's a fantastic initiative. But with that comes the decision of, well, how do you make that up? And oftentimes it's in the way of food and beverage, and it becomes more expensive. And I come at this from the point of view of, you know, you can be a little more creative to make that money back. And I'll use beverage first, and then I'll use food as an example, and then I'll tie it into a couple of other things. But typically, if you walk into a hotel bar, as an example, in a major city center, you'll maybe look at their beer list, and oftentimes it's not overly exciting. And then you look at the price. Oh, I'll grab a Corona. Oh, 10.50. Ooh. And that's you're trying to get a couple of those to pay for your staff and your labor, and I get that. But I look at it as, well, is there an opportunity to maybe craft a more artisanal and story told focus of whatever city you're in, using those microbrews, and charging a little bit less, but instead of getting your 1 krona and then the people leave to go to the bar down the street where it's going to be a fraction of the price, or do you price your really cool eclectic stuff a little bit fairer and have them stay and have 2 or 3 an hour, and you double the revenue coming in some cases triple it. That's one aspect that I look at. And then from that too, when I'm looking at comp set, people always say, well, Mark, you've got to look at the comp set, look at the comp set. And coming out of COVID, I think the comp set has changed, because if I'm looking at just hotel comp sets, well, great, everyone has 100% capture rate at breakfast. And if you don't, that's another conversation to be had, but that's one that you should nail. But then when you go by, like when I'm in Edmonton, when I'm in Vancouver, wherever I'm traveling, and I go by the hotel restaurant at lunch and dinner, it's not often full. So my mind always goes, well, why am I comparing myself to that? Or why would we compare ourselves to that? What are the places that are full and why are they full? So I think the mindset has to shift to, instead of looking at other hotels as your comp set in your food and beverage, look at the restaurants that are doing it really well. And look at what they're doing. And it's atmosphere, it's ambiance, it's service, it's quality of food. And that takes me back to the price point situation, because people will pay if things are great. And in this city, as an example, I'll use Alo as an example. Not an inexpensive restaurant by any stretch. Run by Chef Patrick Chris, the great and talented Christopher Seeley, who looks after the beverage program there. It's not inexpensive to be there, but you're getting premium ingredients, you're getting handcrafted great cocktails, you're getting a really great wine program, and you're getting attentive service in a beautiful surrounding, the proper glassware, the proper cutlery. If they were looking at it from doing it another way and saying, okay, come to Alo and you're getting the frozen steak or the partially thawed steak that's just got the grill marks on it and some, here's a chunk of tomato and some asparagus, and Chris is, instead of having this great Gran Reserva Rioja, you're getting, the best out of a box. You're not going to want to spend that money. And I'm not trying to say that that's what you get in hotels by any stretch, but when you're looking at price paid for value received, those are things that I look at. I think coming out of this, there's such a great opportunity for bar menus in restaurant bars, as an example. Pretty much every hotel bar has nachos on it for some reason. But, are you going to spend $20 on nachos coming out of this that come in a giant bag from Cisco that you could probably buy 10 bags, 20 bags for the $20, and the salsa that isn't made in-house but is purchased somewhere, and that's thrown on a plate, and we're going to charge you $20? Or are you going to look for the place that's doing hand-cut, handcrafted chips, making their own salsa, their own guacamole, and telling that story? I think that's where the opportunity lies for hotel restaurants, is making those relationships with the local farmers, with the local brewers, with the local wineries, telling a story, competing with the freestanding restaurants to create something memorable. Because coming out of this, guests are going to want experiential. They're not going to want transactional. And that's, to me, what you do. And I think from a marketing point of view, you market your outlets different from your hotel. People have the money to spend in a hotel, so they'll have money to spend in the outlets if they're getting the perceived value for it. If they're not getting that, they're going to stop in for that one drink on their way to someone else's restaurant for dinner. And they may have a drink on the way back, but chances are they're not going to, because they'll have their after dinner drink at the restaurant that they're at. So, marketing your restaurant as a separate entity and getting the word out to the general public in your major market spaces, that will drive your hotel guests in for dinner. Because every time I'm traveling, if I do go into the hotel restaurant, it's because I see that it's busy and has a buzz. If I walk through it and I see it's half empty, I'm going to go look for the closest restaurant that has a buzz. So these opportunities exist, and it's up to us, and it's incumbent on us to break the mold of just saying, well, it's my hotel restaurant and it's my hotel bar. People are just going to come, because they won't. There has to be a reason to come. And it starts, like I say, with service, with ambiance, with atmosphere, with the quality product. You know, get away from the frozen, get away from the big box. Look at artisanal, build it up, and create something sexy and unique. Because if we don't do that and we're not planning for that, you know what the old adage is. You know, if you do something the same way and expect different results, it's not going to happen. So I urge us all to put on those thoughts and those thinking caps of, you know, what can be done differently. You know, some of the pushback I've gotten from some people are, oh, you know, well, if I do these handcrafted things, or if I do guacamole from scratch, my food cost is going to go up, or my labor cost is going to go up. And I always counter that with, if you do it right and you promote it right and it tastes right and it's served properly, people will come back for it and they'll stay throughout the night, and your labor will take care of itself through its sales, and your food cost will take care of itself through its sales. Versus, you know, buying in a gallon of whatever the case may be, and you have to throw it out a month and a half in because you haven't sold enough stuff to use it. And then it goes back to the training like we've talked about before. If you train people to what the standards are to make the product and give them a timeline and clear directions on what's expected, then there's no ambiguity. And again, it goes back to hold yourself, in my opinion, we hold ourselves to what the freestandings are doing. And they're all doing that. You know, in the restaurants that are paying a premium, nothing's coming in frozen. They're hand chopping their burgers if they have a burger. They're bringing in whole sides of beef. They're butchering it themselves. They're making everything. And yes, no, your profit margins aren't always huge, especially in those small independent. But I believe that you can make those in the hotel environment by being aggressive again in your pitch, in your positioning, and in your delivery. You know, it's a gamble, it's a stretch, but it's one that I think is really worth taking because I see the opportunity to make hotel dining really sexy again. And, you know, it's something that I'm going to be speaking of on my own, and I hope other people think of it too, because I am a glass half full kind of person, as most of you know, and all I see right now is that brass ring for all of us to reach and grab for and turn the stigma around of what people think of hotel dining and what it can be. And I really think it can be something really spectacular if done well, and if remembering that, yes, so it's important to look at your other hotels in your competition, but really look at the ones where the lunch crowd is going, why are they going there? Where the dinner crowd is going, why are they going there? Look at their price points and then work it backwards. You know, there's ways to make it work, and there's ways to make it make money. It just takes a little bit of intestinal fortitude, it takes some drive, it takes some determination. It takes your managers that are running the operation for you to really buy in and push it and be on the floor and be visible, and creating that warm, welcoming environment that you would get in, say, an Alo and places of that ilk. Even the Cactus Club, you walk into the Cactus Club and everyone says hello. That's the mentality that has to be brought in to the hotels going forward. Again, my opinion only. It's something that I believe in. Again, having been in both sides, on a freestanding operator, in a hotel environment, in a beverage capacity. So it's what I'm striving for in my personal life, to tell that story. And I hope I see our industry making that turn and becoming a better, bigger, more productive player on the market coming out of COVID. Just my 2 cents, guys. Behind the Grape, Dry February, Canadian Cancer Society. Let's make hotels great again. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.